The Midwest Ultimate Invitational happened this past weekend, and 24 of the best from across the Midwest all flocked together to throw down and compete for pride, prestige, and a prize pool of only $2,000. Sorry, I don't mean to rain on my own parade, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the tides of problems accompanying this tournament, from only 2,000 of the tens of thousands raised in votes actually being put towards the prize pool, the stream crashing every few minutes, which made collecting VODs for this video terrible, and the stream overlay actually being plagiarized from the overlay from Sweet Spot 7. This tournament was rife with issues that ultimately stemmed from perhaps biting off a bit more than they were prepared to handle. But for this video, we're not here to talk about that. Instead, we're going to be talking about the event itself and the players that made this event so stacked. But you know what? There are only 24 attendees here at MUI. So for this video, we're going to do something pretty different from my usual top 8 recap. Today, we'll be going over every single MUI attendee, going from our last place finishers and moving up to our winner. Obviously, I won't be able to talk about everyone for as long, nor will I be able to make a montage for every or even most players, lest this video become 2 hours long, but I'm gonna do my best to highlight the best sets for montages and talk to you all about these players the best I can. With that out of the way, strap in because it's time to get started. Real quick before we begin, just a reminder that I'm going to be going live right here on my YouTube channel at 2 p.m. CST. Come tune in. I'm preparing for a local, and I'd love your help to shake off some of my rust. Alright, let's get started. MUI had 8 17th place finishers this past weekend, and we'll be going over them semi-briefly for time's sake. With that out of the way, our 17th finishers were Wolfie, Crows, Wilds, Gamerdog, Toad, Beefcake, Grease Almighty, and Sandy. The MUI worked a lot like Summit, naturally, with a group stage that decided the seeding for the main bracket. There were 6 players per group, with the bottom 3 starting in loser's bracket and the top 3 players starting in winner's bracket, with the best performing finisher getting a first round bye. We'll just be going by order of the group stages, starting with A and then B and then so on. Sandy was the 17th place finisher from Group A, who tied with Aaron for the amounts of sets won in their group, with both of them winning 1 set. Sandy's one win was, ironically, against Aaron. Sandy then went on in loser's side of the final bracket, where they had to fight Candle, otherwise known as 34. Pretty early, unfortunately, for Sandy. Sandy would lose that set 3-0, an unfortunate draw from the second Mega Man main attending MUI this weekend. Beefcake and Grease Almighty both came from Group 2, with Beefcake not winning any sets in group stage, and Grease Almighty only winning one against Beefcake themselves. In main bracket, Beefcake lost 3-0 to Skittles, another player in loser's bracket criminally early, and Grease Almighty lost to Anthony Isn't Cool in another 3-0. Toad and Gamerdog both came from the same group, and I've actually talked about Gamerdog on the channel before, hyping him up in my Low Tide City video where he got 9th. At MUI though, both Gamerdog and Toad won only 1 set, Gamerdog beating Toad and Toad beating Loaf. In main bracket, Toad lost 3-1 to Colorado 8, and Gamerdog lost a Game 5 nail-biter set against Scar. Our final 3 13th place finishers all actually come from the same pool, those being Wilds, who was actually only 2nd place in their pool, only dropping 1 set to Ned, and then Crows, who only won 1 set against Wolfie, and Wolfie, who didn't win any. Crows would lose to P-Easy 3-0, and Wolfie would lose a close Game 5 set against Apollo Kage, who, yes, is in losers round 1 right now. We're gonna get to him in due time, alright? But the one player here I'm sure you're all wondering about is Wilds. After all, Wilds got 2nd place at COS 2023, and was the 2nd place finisher in their pool, so what happened? Revenge, that's what happened.
Oh, there it is. There we go. Right? Yeah.
Okay. That was clean.
Okay, I was like, right? Yeah? He's able to find it without smash.
That was
All
clean.
right. So, I mean, Geist Wilds, that could be looking at a new rivalry there.
In a run back from COS 2023, Geist managed to get the victory over Wilds, which shouldn't be too surprising given the fact that the two of them went to Game 5 at COS 2023 as well, and that Bayo Kazuya seems to be a very touch-of-death matchup at this high level of play. Wilds dropped down into losers, where Wilds lost in a Game 5 set to Aaron, who mains me Sword Fighter, but actually went their secondary Rob for this match. Wilds had 2 Game 5 nail-biters for their losses, and with a tournament as stacked as this, someone had to get last place, and unfortunately, it was Wilds' turn to burn out early at MUI. Next up, we have our 4 13th place finishers, those being P-Easy, Aaron, Scar, and Candle. We'll go in the same order we did last time, going by group stages. P-Easy came out of their pool in 4th, which means they had to start in losers, but, you know, just barely. Their losses being to Atada, Failbot, and Apollo Kage. Funnily enough, Failbot and P-Easy had the exact same set count, but Failbot placed over P-Easy because they had the better win rate percentage for games, even though they had an identical set win percentage. P-Easy, in final bracket, defeated Crow Z like we discussed, but lost a close Game 5 set with Colorado 8. Aaron was in the same pool as P-Easy, but actually placed last in the pool, only defeating Failbot. Aaron went in loser's side, but got an upset win over Wilds in a 3-2 like we discussed, before they lost to Anthony Isn't Cool in another Game 5. Interestingly, had Aaron won, they would have had to fight Failbot, who they had beaten before, so theoretically Aaron could have gotten top 8 had they clutched out this set. Scar got 4th in their pool as well, but just like with P-Easy, tied with Geist in set count, but unfortunately had a lower game win percentage, so Scar started in loser side, where they defeated Gamerdog like we discussed, before losing 3-0 to Apollo Kage, a killer player to fight that early on in bracket. Our last 13th place finisher is Candle, which means that Pool 3 was the only one without a 13th place finisher. Candle placed 4th in their group after a 3-0 upset loss to Colorado 8, starting off by defeating Sandy like we discussed before losing to Skittles 3-0, another killer player to meet early on. Now we move on to our 4th, 9th place finishers, those being Failbot, Epic Gabriel, Doorstop, and Colorado 8. Failbot made it out of pools in 3rd place like we discussed, despite tying set count with P-Easy. This meant that Failbot started in winner's side, where they started off with an impressive upset over Skittles. Failbot then went on to lose to Ned in a 3-0, dropping down into losers, where they would then lose to Anthony Isn't Cool in a close Game 5 set for 9th. Epic Gabriel got out of their pools the 2nd place, losing only to the GOAT himself, Rocky Balboa. Starting in winners, Epic Gabriel pulled off a reverse 3-0 against Colorado 8, before losing to Atada in another Game 5 set, dropping down into losers. Epic Gabriel went up against Apollo Kage, losing in a close Game 5 set yet again for 9th. Doorstop, our 3rd place finisher from COS 2023, actually placed 1st of their group, winning every set, meaning that Doorstop got a first round bye in final bracket. However, Doorstop would lose their first set of final bracket, losing 3-1 to Geist, before dropping down and also losing 3-1 against Skittles. Our last 9th place finisher, Colorado 8, made it out of pool's winner's side by pulling off an upset against Candle like we discussed earlier, but lost to Epic Gabriel in winners round 1 like we've also discussed earlier. From here, Colorado went on a short losers run, defeating Toad and P-Easy before going up against and losing to Loaf 3-1. That's it for our non-top 8 finishers at Midwest Ultimate Invitational. Now we're going to move on to our top 8 finishers, starting with our 7th places, Anthony Isn't Cool and Loaf. Let's start with Anthony. Anthony Isn't Cool made it out of group stage in 4th place, meaning that they started in losers. Anthony made the run to top 8, however, defeating Grease Almighty, Aaron, and Failbot to make top 8, those previous 2 wins both being Game 5 nail-biters. Anthony then had to go up against Apollo Kage in losers 8ths.
Limit on deck, so this interaction is not going to end the stock. Oh, the C4, he forgot about it. He was not ready.
We saw that in the game 1, and it is going to also take him out in this game 3. Apollo Kage with the 3-0.
Anthony lost that set 3-0, being eliminated at 7th. Our other 7th place finisher, Loaf, is a name you've all likely heard of before, if anything else, from my Sweet Spot 7 video. Loaf came from the same pool as Anthony, but made it out winner's side, as Loaf had a better game win percentage than Anthony did. Just like Anthony though, Loaf did have to fight Apollo Kage, this time in winners round 1. But this set has a twist. After all, who do you think sent AK to losers to begin with? That's right, in an extraordinary 3-1, Loaf was able to upset Apollo Kage and knock him down into losers extraordinarily early. After this, Loaf went on to lose their next set, but I'm actually going to hold off on telling you about that set. Trust me. Now in losers, Loaf defeated Colorado 8 like we discussed before going up against and losing to Skittles for a 3L placement of 7th. Now we get to our 5th place finishers, Atada and Rocky Balboa! I would like to remind you all that I am in no way biased toward the people in my region. No, not biased at all. Atada got first place in their pool, defeating Apollo Kage in an upset for a flawless record. This allowed Atada to get a first round bye, and in their first set after that, they defeated Epic Gabriel 3-2. This put Atada into winners semifinals against Ned, a set that went down to a game 5.
Okay, what is the lead trap going to be? Sticking with these forward tilts. Ned's.
Oh my God!
No, not enough. Not killing.
Careful with the.
How does he land? Oh, man.
In the end, Atada lost 3-2 to Ned, dropping down into losers' quarters, where Atada lost 3-0 to Skittles, just like Loaf, being eliminated at 5th. Rocky Balboa swept their pool, but actually did as good as Epic Gabriel, with both of these players getting a first round bye as a result of their good performance. Rocky being put as first place, I assume because of the head-to-head record against Epic Gabriel. This meant that Rocky got a first round bye, where they had to fight Apollo Kage, a matchup that Rocky was not very excited to play. That is, until Loaf upset Apollo Kage. This meant that instead of AK's Snake, Rocky had to play against Loaf's Wario. This set was one of the best bangers of the tournament.
Reality, never be charity. The enemy you're fighting covers all society. Damn right, mommy's not here, gonna fight all night. Right here, shadow 10 o'clock direction. Seize the moment, destroy the nation. You rhyme slow motion, give me motivation. Breathe out now, and then I'm a rival. Round up around, spit out all over. Rhyme like a rolling stone, come in a crowd. Watch out the moon, they diss you out. Get what this sound and bombs whole round. So round up, don't ease your pace, cause enemies brutal. Moment of truth, there ain't no truth. You're the only one world, one love. But the battle goes on, shadows all mass destruction.
Oh yeah, down, down, baby, baby, down, oh yeah, down, baby, baby, oh yeah, down, baby, baby,
Rocky defeated Loaf in a close Game 5, moving into winners top 8, where unfortunately Rocky lost against Geist 3-0, despite having defeated Geist in pools. Rocky dropped down into losers' quarters, where they now had to fight, ironically enough, Apollo Kage. Rocky would lose 3-0 to Apollo Kage, being eliminated at 5th, but still being the winner in my eyes. Now we move on to our 4th place finisher, Skittles. If you've been paying attention, you know that Skittles has been tearing up the losers bracket with 3-0s aplenty. This is because, after placing 2nd in their pool, Skittles lost 3-0 to Failbot in their first round of final bracket.
Failbot definitely has like the good reads, like his neutral reads too. It's
Oh,
he's
just
there?
runs off
Hey,
stage
bro.
and catches him with a spike.
Failbot off stage ain't nothing to mess with.
yeah.
Man.
Skittles dropped down into losers early, where they went on a tear through losers, defeating Beefcake, Candle, Doorstop, Loaf, and Atada, with only Doorstop managing to take even one game from Skittles at all. Skittles then had to go up in losers semis against their fellow losers bracket demon, Apollo Kage. This was a run back from Sweet Spot 7, and the two were both determined to keep going forward. the end, it was Skittles' turn to get 3-0'd, and they got eliminated by Apollo Kage for 4th place. An amazing losers run ended to the only other player who was also making an insane losers run. Now we get to our 3rd place finisher, Geist. We also talked about Geist at COS 2023, where they got 5th. Geist improved on that placement by first making it through pools, getting 3rd place, only losing to Epic Gabriel 3-2 and Rocky the Goat Balboa 3-1. Starting in winner's side, Geist first got their revenge against Wilds before defeating Doorstop 3-1 and Rocky 3-0, like we discussed earlier. It was here that Geist would have to go up against Ned in winner's finals. Unfortunately for Geist, they would lose 3-1 to Geist, being knocked down into losers finals, where they were steamrolled by the demon themselves, Apollo Kage, in a clean 3-0, being eliminated at 3rd.
This is one. This looks like
88?
Yeah, this matchup is just looking so tough. All right, but that is the stock for Geist. He is going to even things back up despite everything that he's been through.
Yeah, and that's why we don't feel bad for Geist for dying at 88% because I believe AK was just at 0.
Oh!
Damn! That's crazy.
Oh, okay. He's able to make it back.
Now we get to our final 2 finishers, Ned and Apollo Kage, 2 of the most globally recognized players from the Midwest at this point. Ned started off their run by sweeping their pool, going undefeated and getting a first-round bye in final bracket. There, they beat Failbot 3-0 in a matchup that I think everyone doesn't quite know who wins. We all used to think Seph was Steve's worst matchup, but then people discovered Sephiroth couldn't tech against blocks, but also every single co-main with Seph in the world goes Seph against Steve's, like Tweak and Nicola at Smash Summit 6, and you know what? I'm just gonna stop thinking about it. Ned then defeated Atata 3-2, moving on into winners finals, where Ned defeated Geist 3-1 like we discussed, moving on into grand finals winners side. Apollo Kage started off their weekend by placing 2nd in their pool, being upset 3-2 by Atata in a quite annoying matchup for Snake. In final bracket, without a first round bye, AK went up against Loaf and lost 3-1 like we've discussed. Apollo Kage just then decided they were tired of losing and went on a tear through losers that started all the way in round 1 and carried AK all the way to grands. AK first defeated Wolfie and Scar, with Wolfie taking AK to a game 5 and Scar getting 3-0'd. It's weird to think that there is a universe not too far from ours where AK gets 17th place, last place, instead of making in the top 2 finishers. AK then had another close call with Epic Gabriel being taken to a game 5, but clutching it out in the end. AK then swept top 8, 3-0ing Anthony's and Cool and Rocky, before also 3-0ing Skittles and Geist in order to make grand finals. AK now had to go up against Ned, a hard match indeed. Ned wouldn't make this easy, AK having to fight harder against Ned than any of their previous opponents. Why do I say that? Because this set went to a game 9.
Again with these.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that was like just a B reverse grenade that ended up being a Cypher. That's gotta be it.
Yeah. Very unfortunate if it's.
Oh,
never
what?
mind.
Oh, all right then, bro. Was that the back air into the up smash?
It was, yeah, it must have been the mortar coming
Yeah.
down, but
Yeah.
either way, just the game ended as soon as it began here for Apollo Kage, who is your Midwest Ultimate Invitational Champion.
In the end, Apollo Kage won 3-1 in Grands and 3-2 in the reset, becoming your winner of the Midwest Ultimate Invitational. It's almost comical how, not even a week after I released my COS 2023 video, Apollo Kage goes on to win another important tournament from loser's side. But this time it was even more impressive, with AK losing in round 1 and managing to sweep the Midwest's best players, high-level talent in every single set, and AK doing so, only being taken to a Game 5 3 times and defeating everyone in top 8 3-0 except for Ned. There are only so many guarantees in life. Grass grows, sun shines, birds fly, and dear viewers, you cannot stop Losers Bracket Apollo Kage. That's going to be it for today's video. If you enjoyed, please subscribe and ring the bell, and also leave a comment. Today I'll ask you all, if you had to pick any player aside from AK or Ned to have won NUI, who would you have picked? I know that my answer is Rocky Balboa every single time, but I'm curious as to who you were all rooting for going into the event. Real quick, shout out to my Patreon supporters Seth Lasser and Fireskull333, and additional shout out to my YouTube members Stormtroiper and Locosoko. If you'd like to support me using either of these venues, links are in the description. This weekend's CEO 2023 is happening, and I'll be here to cover that tournament on Tuesday. Until then, I've been Mr. Mice, and thank you all so much for watching.